All right, welcome back to the We Not I podcast. Today I'm joined by Vince the Voice Bailey. Vince, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing all right, man. Doing good. Glad to be here.
I gotta say, you've got to have the best voice I've ever had and will probably ever have on this podcast.
Voted number one voice. That's what I need. I'm shooting for it, man. I'm shooting for it. I tell you, and I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, right on. So, little backstory for our listeners. You're a voice actor, mental health advocate, podcast host of Black Mental Matters, and we connected through a friend in Atlanta, and I'm really excited to hear kind of your story, what brought you into podcasting, some of the things you're doing for the Black community, and yeah, what it's a pleasure to have you on, Vince.
Well, thank you, man. Thank you, and again, thank you for what you're doing. Yeah, we Leandra, if you don't mind, great gal, and she put us together, and then I looked you up as well and said, "Wow," and so we're kindred spirits, definitely, and so this should be a good conversation tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. And you did we had a phone call before this and you shared a little bit of your story, but I don't know if you want to get into some of the things that brought mental health into your life and kind of why you've been talking about it.
Sure, sure. At the age of, I think I was 17, I was a senior in high school, and my dad succumbed to suicide. And it's devastating, 17, getting ready to graduate from high school. So, but you're young, and I'm sure you can relate. You do everything to kind of ease that pain. So went through that time period as a youngster, and got married. I mean, I could function and everything, but there was definitely a blur of time in my life because I was just devastating. My dad was everything to us as four boys, and he had like at least two jobs all the time, if not three. And we all went to Catholic school and had the nicest house in the neighborhood. And Mama drove a Cadillac, you know what I'm saying? And then this man, who I'm the youngest, and so got into drinking and all that kind of stuff. As a young man, and like I say, there was a blur there of several years, and but I can still function. I've never. I guess that's the one thing that I always take away from my dad was his work ethic. And I'm doing it again, as we speak. But so I was, able to function. Got married and got into this media stuff, man, and just fell in love. Started out as a volunteer reading for the blind at the radio reading service there in Gary, Indiana, my home. And that introduced me to public access TV. And man, I was off to the horses, with this media stuff, terrible videos, which I still got tapes of, it's green or the heads chopped off, the interviews. But oh man, having a blast as a young person, and actually became the guy in charge at a real young age. And but then fast got married, and my wife and I we moved to Arkansas, Little Rock, Arkansas. We put it in a hat, actually. My brother lived in Detroit, older brother, hers lived in Arkansas. We put it in a hat, and it came up Arkansas. And so just like some old hillbillies, we packed up my van and came on down. I'll never forget crossing the Mississippi River Bridge for the first time in the middle of the night, and I'm going, "Oh my God!" And we're in this old van. I said, "What have I done?" But it was wonderful. And but in 2004, my oldest brother, Tony Theodore, did the same. He succumbed to suicide. And of course, that was devastating as well. And this was, the brother that taught me, you see, I'm dressed right, who taught me style as a kid. Would take me to Old Town in Chicago, show me how to figure out what fabrics are good for clothes, it was just a great, and so super smart, man. And so those two things, losing my dad and my brother, definitely. But something that something that really spurred the idea of being an advocate came when Katrina hit New Orleans. My mom's family is from New Orleans, and a lot of cousins and stuff down there.
Wow.
And so when I saw Katrina on television, and I thought about all those kids, who were on the bridge going, save us, or on top of the houses. And I heard stories of, bodies floating down the street. And then I said, man, no, I have not heard one statement about helping these kids mentally.
Wow.
They're going through something, I believe we are facing the results of that here today, but they're going through stuff. So that kind of got the idea in my head about, trying to do something with myself. And then of course I want to do something that, because my brother and father's lives definitely were not in vain. So this is my way of, continue their legacy and understanding that you don't, know what people are going through, and things can look beautiful on the outside. You just don't know. And that they're not alone if you're going through this, or somebody in your family. And so that's kind of the launching thoughts of Black Mental Matters. And we're 3 years into it now. And I get free therapy, I say, every, just like now. This is therapeutic, man. Just talking to you.
I feel the same.
So that's my story. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm again really sorry to hear about your father and brother, but likewise, it's nice to see you turning around and put it towards something positive.
Yes. I think that's what to say to you, being able to turn those lemons into lemonade, things that happen, my experience, things that happen, a lot of times aren't necessarily for you specifically, or something that's for someone else. And so being able to share stories. I mean, I think about, and the title of the podcast and the thing is Black Mental Matters, and we think therapeutic, to depression, alcoholism, things like that. But really, it's how you just process everything in life. You, at the end of the day, I don't care how much money you made, how many buildings you built, how many houses you have. Are you going to be happy with what took place in your life? Did you take a moment to smell some flowers, literally, walk down the beach? Did you take time to enjoy, as opposed to and so there are definitely techniques. Folks trying to call me. There are definitely techniques that that you can utilize, so that everything is not a bummer, and everything is not the end of the world. Sometimes not getting that job was the best thing that could have happened.
Right. Doesn't look that way at the beginning.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so again, so we talk about a lot of different things. Even I was most interested in postpartum with women. I was like, what happens? You have to have a baby, then all of a sudden you're you want to hurt your babies. What is that? Just all kinds of topics. And it's something that touches a lot of people, more families than you know. I mean, just in the Black community, I was looking at some statistics. More than the combined combination of Chicago, Houston, and Philadelphia in the Black community has had a diagnosable, the word, mental illness in the past year. Like 6.8 million people. That's just in the Black community.
Wow. And it seems like this past year or two has been even higher than.
Yeah. So I mean, the situations of this, going through the pandemic, and again, think about those kids. I mean, this will make 3 years now that they've been out of school. 3 years. Can you imagine what it would have been like if you wouldn't have been able to play ball or go to the prom or get kids? You couldn't even date.
Right.
Think about that.
I mean,
you're a horny little dude. You sitting at home, 15, 16 years old. You can't even get your first kiss in. Because she's got the cooties, baby. For real.
Yeah, it's true. I don't normally think about that, but you're right. I mean, especially with sports and stuff, like hockey was such a big part of my youth and growing up, and
Yeah.
such an outlet. And I think about the kids that had to stop playing their sport, and how that affects their mind, right? Because it helps me mentally so much to have that still,
Yes.
and uh, to take that away from kids at that age, especially, it must be
Yeah.
terrible.
Yeah. And not only the kids, the teacher, the whole education system went through the ringer. I
Mhm.
taught, I do voiceover, and I've taught voiceover for a number of years at the college here as well. And I mean, it just devastated the college, the continuing ed, to have classes again. And, so
Mm.
of course, that's a financial issue for a lot of folks, where I'm going to get my next paycheck from. The schools are so you know, on the last episode that we did on the shows, wonderful, with the Dr. Alana, who her tagline was "Trauma hurts, empathy heals."
Mhm.
Empathy heals. I found that to be so powerful and so true, and how did she put it, that, not just putting yourself in someone else's shoes, because, I may wear a size 12 and you wear a size 8, and I say, you just need to get some bigger shoes, you know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
actually putting yourself, from their point of view, what they're really, looking at, and
Mhm.
without your own thoughts and prejudices coming in. And I think that's the only way we're going to get through the things that we're, have gotten ourselves into over these past years, or else it just continues to
Mhm.
be conflict. So,
Yeah, and I mean, to that point, one of the like, when I was going through my stuff, and I was, so consumed in my situation for years and years, and then I started talking about it and things, and it wasn't really until I had a conversation with a close friend of mine that he kind of looked at me and he was like, "Dude, you and I, like, we grew up in upstate New York. We have, our parents are fairly well off that can afford us to get into therapy, like." Where I stopped and realized, like, wow, I was able to go to the mental health hospital. I was able to afford psychiatrists, therapists, counselors, for years, and the medicine and the insurance, and um, you know, for me to take that step back. And I was fortunate enough to put on mental health talks at in Albany, New York, where it was more working with inner city kids that didn't have access to avocados and healthy foods, and some of the other coping mechanisms or things that I use to help my mental health. So also that, where it's like, um, you know there's other communities that are economically, or just the availability of the help isn't there.
that's right. That's right. No, you hit on a big. I mean, that's a huge barrier there. Can be, lack of insurance, lack of resources, not even being able to get away from work. If you do work, that kind of thing. That's a huge barrier. Of course, the stigma is also, a huge barrier. Just people being, ashamed, or believing that there's something wrong. Hey, when you twist your ankle, you go straight to a doctor, don't you? Well, you got a little twist going on up here for a minute, and you can get that thing straightened out. But as you say, the resources and the access has to be there.
Yeah. Um, I mean, just taking your angle on all of this and your experience with the Black community, is it also there's more of a stigma, you would say?
Yeah, yeah, there definitely is. But there's, I mean, I really been blessed, Garrison, and I appreciate, again, giving me this opportunity, because I've worked with a number of different communities. One of the things that, again, my parents, sending me to Catholic school, it was a Slovak parish. The nuns were Lithuanian. I had classmates that were, um, you know, Mexican, Asian. So I grew up in this world of diversity, and carried that forward in life. And so through various activities. I interact with different cultures, and you find it's kind of the same everywhere. It still comes down to this a lot of times, you know,
Yeah.
who gets service, but definitely in the Black community, because there's some built-in things from, you know, being here in America. You know, you got to be strong. You know, you gotta just push through. You got to work to. Oh, I hate that one. You got to work twice as hard. No, you don't. Just do what you need to do. But if you put that pressure on yourself, that I have to work twice as hard just to get as far as Garrison does, or
Yeah.
you know, that kind of thing. Yeah, that's a taxing thing. My partner on the show, who's great, and she has all the credentials. So I'm just the average Joe. I just want people to feel better. You know, I don't have any schooling in this, but she does, and she gave the analogy of, with women, especially, she talked about Black women's bodies being biologically older. And she gave the analogy of a antelope, like in the jungle, and a tiger starts chasing it, you know, and of course that's stress, and blood's beating and you start running, you know, but then the antelope is quick and gets away, gets to the water hole, and it's a done deal. That's a wrap. You know, I'm good. But in real life, it's like, you know, for a person, you're those, even when the tiger, isn't it just the thought of the tiger brings all those emotions and things coming back up again. And think about that happening over and over and over again in life, and the toll that it takes, you know. So I mean, there's some uh I guess cultural differences, and that's one of the goals too, is to get younger people like yourself, but younger people of color, you know, kids that look like me, to get into this field, because I think that would be a lot. I mean, I'm sure you would be a great therapist. I'd love to come spill my guts to you, but it's something about talking to someone who kind of comes from where you're from, and, you know, can understand, you know, kind of your thing, you know. And there's a big lack of that in the Black community, of Black therapists. So you know, we've got goals. It just takes time to, and keep getting the message out like we're doing right here.
Yeah, it's kind of important for people in any culture to see, you know, people like yourself, or in that therapeutic position, to realize that they can do it as well.
I got something. Let me share this with you, since it's right here. I'm so proud of this.
Yeah.
So I do. I MC events in various communities, and the Asian community is one that man, just had a great time with here in Georgia. So they have every year a top 25 most influential Asians in Georgia awards program that I MC. And what year was it? In 2018, I was named number 26.
That's awesome.
Out of 25, I'm number 26.
Oh, that's too good.
So there's some good can come out of all this craziness, you know.
Yeah, right on. Yeah, I mean, I got to meet Charlemagne the God and went to his book signing, and you know, read quite a bit into his story in his book, and that alone gave me a, you know, different perspective about you know, trauma, and how it's kind of can be ancestral. I don't know if that's the right word, but it can be passed down.
Yeah.
So I mean, he's a big ally and a great mental health advocate as well.
You know, I'm just going to take it and run with it. You know, all kinds of things are passed down. One of our, well, a couple of them, but dealt with, you know, even, you know, white supremacy, and why do they hate Black people? And so, you know, really started digging into that, and then I really got hooked on Viking movies, right? And so the thing that I learned from watching these movies is, you know, back in the day, the whole job was to get your stuff together and go take somebody else's stuff. that
Yeah,
was the
that's true.
that was the job. We're gonna build our boats till the spring, and then go over here to Mercia or Saxon and take
Yeah,
their stuff.
that's the whole thing.
And I think that spirit of just you know uh, it's just a part of the DNA. Uh, so whoop, there it is.
Yeah. Uh, yeah, could be.
I know this. I mean, and it really comes from a point of just trying to understand, how we on this place, interact with one another, and because really, still, when it comes down, we're talking about mental health. It's again, it's people, and that's the issue with after the pandemic. We were cut away from people. You were isolated. You
Mm,
really had to deal with yourself,
yeah,
and for a lot of people, that was a big challenge.
stillness, sitting alone, not having distractions.
Yeah, yeah. So, um, yeah, it's a big topic, man, and again, yourself being a young man jumping out there. Of course, if there's anything we could ever do to assist you in getting your message out, definitely. But it is something that needs to be said over and over again, against specifically or especially now that we're coming into just a new age of. It's almost coming out of a cocoon again for some people, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah,
And
absolutely.
again, think about you're building up your social skills when you're a young person, and you missed, sixth, seventh, eighth grade.
Yeah, and then I mean, unfortunately, I don't have the exact numbers, but I know suicides have like, skyrocketed over this period, particularly with males.
Mm,
Um, it's just something. I mean, the positive is that mental health I feel like has taken more of a forefront, and people are accepting it more and talking about it more, and
mhm,
um, it's become more more conversation around it. But uh,
mhm.
yeah,
It has to be some rubber meets the road kind of stuff. I'm here in Georgia, and they they passed. It still has to be signed by the governor, but I guess a big mental health bill that this session. But what does that mean? And where the rubber meets the road. I think it's in July. I think 211 is going to become a mental health number. I believe it's 211 that you'll dial, just like 911. So if it's a mental
oh, that's
health
great.
deal,
Yeah.
some concrete
Hmm.
things. Because it's one thing to have a seminar and a forum and a conference, and it's another some tangible, touchable,
Right.
things that impact families, or maybe included in people's insurance or something along those lines. Um, so by blowing the horn, hopefully there will be some things that'll be put in place.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
Um, I worked in a behavioral health office for a couple months right after college, and that was one of the things I noticed is that it really does come down to money sometimes, and whatever insurance paid the most probably was more likely to get an earlier appointment.
Mhm.
And these things just, yeah, a lot of it comes down to insurance, who has it, who doesn't, Medicare, Medicaid.
Mhm.
um, it's tough.
And if you got to choose, just like your physical health, if you have to choose between, $500 a month for this or groceries, what
Mm,
do you think you're going to choose?
right.
Um, and we talk about the young people again. Another thing in schools, you'll find that, I remember counselors. Now it's like one counselor for every 1,000 students or so, some insane number.
Mhm.
Not, I'm exaggerating, but maybe 300. Could you imagine
Yeah.
300 kids? that you're trying to help guide and weave along the way. So, I think that's where some of that money could go, so that there are more frontline, face-to-face opportunities for young people as they're going through their changes young in life, and for that matter, adults as well, because we do need more professionals out here. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 100%. You mentioned on your podcast, you talk a lot about, tangible advice and, things that other people can do to help each other out. That's a big theme in my podcast as well. Are there any things that you personally do to help your mental health, or any highlights from your podcast that you'd like to share?
For myself, I'll tell you the best investment I ever made a couple of years back was a massage chair.
Yeah.
Keep it like that. I don't know, Garrison, I just really feel extremely blessed that I found the field that I wanted to, be in early in life. So, like, again, 16, 17 years old, when I first, and I'm getting up to 60 now. So all this time, being able to, work in something, or it doesn't even feel like work, even though that's what it is, that you like to do. And then being able to, the type of person I am, being able to use those media skills for stuff like this, for podcasts, for nonprofit agencies, business associations, that kind of thing. So, I definitely encourage anyone to follow your dreams, your passions, your what it is that makes you happy. If you're going to be doing that so many hours of your life, every day. Could you imagine going, saying you don't want to go to this job every day, and you're there 80 hours a week? I mean, that's definitely going to affect your psyche. So, again, I'm very thankful, and please keep it up, Lord, that I'm able to do what the types of things that I do. So, that's probably the biggest mental health
You're living your purpose.
Yeah. I mean, and even when it, not that I'm all that now, but even when it was, just holding the cue cards, I mean, I was happy as a lark. I'm on the scene, and I think with a lot of young people, particularly today, it's sometimes you get impatient. I understand that. I can be impatient myself. But if you find what it is that you really love, I don't care if it's drawing, cutting hair, doing mustaches, I don't care, painting, engineering, if you want to be all that. But take your time, and your dreams really can come true. No doubt about it. I'm a living witness.
Yeah, that's really good advice, especially for someone who's in their early to mid 30s. Or, I mean, I'm 29 now, but I know a lot of my listeners are in the college age, or just getting out of college, and maybe in the early years of their career, that either don't know or are unsure. And I guess what I hear you saying is that it's okay, and it'll all
come together. You kind of got to look, and you'll see there's I like to say, a common denominator all the time. I don't know what I can look back. So it's always like music. And then once, I just love to read. And it was, in class, who wants to read? Anybody but Vince. Come on up here and read, because, this kid is crazy. But it was just a certain extension of that. I could read on a microphone, and to a crowd of people. I can be recorded, and so that common denominator, still is pretty big in my life here today. And for others, if it's, being outdoors, it's just something about the smell of grass. Well, there's some beautiful lawns out here that need landscaping. They pay big bucks for that. If that's, if the money is the issue too. But you've got to I think fulfill your dreams so that again, at the end of the day, when you're there lying there at the end, you're, man, I wish I'd have went on and pursued that thing I was thinking about. Here's your opportunity, and here's your opportunity, and again about the part about that you're not alone in this, and that's one of the big themes I'm sure you talk about and we talk about. You're not alone, with your struggles. Yeah, it's not always hunky-dory, it's not always beautiful thing like that, but also you can sometimes, just through a word, you just don't realize how powerful your words can be for someone else. And so if you just make it a concerted effort that, hey, I'm just gonna just be cool today and just greet people and give them a smile, and so you just don't know what effect that can have on someone, and it's contagious. And pretty soon you'll find that that's the only kind. I know. Hey, if you got some negative vibes, Garrison, we wouldn't even be on this thing right now. It's like, nah, I ain't got time, dog.
Yeah.
There's enough pressure out here on all this other stuff, so surround yourself with people that, not yes people or anything like that, but people that, are about uplifting and trying to help and support and give some, good advice and all that. A good friend of mine that we do video work together. As I've shot, been still shooting video, and we rode in the car together. I would say at least 3 years. Just talking as we're going to these different shoots, and he, I'd talk about my sons or something like that, and he'd always have this great advice. And I'm like, man, and I never thought twice about it. It's just my friend Tim, and we're good working together. Turns out he's a minister. I didn't even ask. Turns out he's a minister. They're in a couples deal. We ended up doing a podcast on helping brothers out. So you just never know. But surround yourself with those kind of people, and you all can all grow together. And that's been my experience with the friends that I've stayed with, decades now.
Yeah. So the real friends stay along, and you find that just like you have, as time goes on, you have deeper relationships with people, and like maybe fewer people, but the right ones.
The right ones that'll support you. Say, wow, Garrison, man, I listened to your podcast. That's cool, man. That's may not be my thing, but can I film you one night, whatever, can I do something to support you? And that's how, that's what makes you stronger. You're strong as the circle around you. Being able to pick up the phone and call Garrison. Hey, I'm feeling on top of the world now. Hey, man, what you doing, Garrison?
Yeah.
Coming to town, man. Pick me up from the airport.
Yeah, right on. Yeah, I'll have to let you know next time I'm in Atlanta.
Yeah, man.
But cool. Well, thank you so much for doing this. It's been a pleasure, not only just talking about mental health and stuff, but talking to someone older, kind of in my similar career or media interests, and kind of seeing where you're at. It's inspiring.
Good, man. Good. It has been a pleasure. Time goes by fast, and forgive me for talking so much, but I just love to share. I mean, that's part of my thing too, is just go ahead, just let it out, for others. And I sleep really good at night. So those of you, again, I mean, there's some, it's kind of selfish on my part. I already know if I get it out, I'm gonna feel better.
Yeah. Yeah. It is true. These tend to turn into therapy sessions sometimes. For
Yeah. Last little, you talk about the media, and I'm so proud. Again, I had several jobs, and I had students back at the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff. I worked there for about 3.5 years. Back in 2001, from 1999 to about 2002, and to see the development of some of them, because most, you know how it is in that media world. Everybody wants to be the star and be out front. But those that took the time to learn how to wrap cable and, you know, hook up the audio board. I got girls working Wendy Williams show, CNN, ESPN, on the radio, and then all those superstars, you know, they're selling phones at Verizon. Hey, what can I say? Nothing wrong with selling phones at Verizon, but that's not what you spend all that money for. So dive into it, all you young people that listen to Garrison. Dive into your dreams.
Yeah, learn the basics, learn the fundamentals, is kind of wrap the cables.
You'll never be out without a job. You'll be on the set. And Tom Cruise says, "Hey, who's that guy?" "Hey, that's Garrison." Get his number.
Yeah, we'll just keep putting out that energy.
Got a dream, man. You got a dream.
That's awesome.
But thank you again. Thank you again.
Absolutely. And I'll flash your Instagram and website right here. It's blackmentalmatters.com and vincethevoice.com. And on Instagram, you can find Vince, his podcast, at Black Mental Matters, and at Vince the Voice Bailey on Instagram. Yeah, excited to keep following you.
Vice versa. I'll look to hear big things, and who knows? You know, again, we're gonna come. We will be putting together a big panel or something one day. You know, where it can be just a big love fest. Everybody can confess and have a good time and support and give some advice. And you'll definitely be on that list when that day comes.
Yeah, love to. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, buddy.
All right. Have a great night.
God bless. Bye-bye.
God bless.